Everyone. This is Nitha Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 902. Special edition, special guest. His name is AC Caswell, a former NFL player who played for the Raiders. He's joining the show today on his birthday, so happy birthday to him. And he's also a founder of his company called $1 Million Mingle. We're gonna get to all that because that's an amazing thing what he's doing with raising money for the kids, Boys and Girls Club, and it's all about the youth. So we're gonna talk about that. But first, I wanted to get to his NFL career, how he started. And first of all, AC, I just want to say thank you for joining the show today. And like I said, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, brother, man. I appreciate the birthday wishes. And as I always say, thank you for building another platform for us athletes to kind of share who we are, our message. And we appreciate that tremendously. So excited to be here, man.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you for coming. And tell our fans about your journey, how you started, and obviously growing up. When did you get interested in playing football? And who was your role model that you looked up to?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I tell you, well, first of all, it's been an amazing journey. Growing up as a kid in South Central Los Angeles, had a very, very hard part of upbringing in my life. And sports was my savior. I mean, I loved sports as an early age, kid running around town, just playing sports, anything, basketball, football, track, whatever we can do, street hockey. I've always loved sports, loved being active. So, and had a lot of good people in my life, a lot of good people that supported me and believed in me. So I think I needed that as a kid because I didn't have a biological father growing up, and that was tough. That was tough. I didn't have that part of my support system. So I had to turn to older guys and had to turn to other youth organizations that let me come in and be a kid to play sports. So, yeah, it was an amazing journey, man, just growing up as a kid and loving sports. And as I got a little bit older, in middle school and high school, and I was a football track athlete, 2-star athlete, and just had coaches telling me that, hey, man, you're really something special. You have some amazing talent. And if you really stick with it and get serious about it, I think your talent can turn into a professional level. So that's kind of, relying on my coaches and my teachers and the ones who kind of believed in me and helped teach me.
Wow, that's amazing. And obviously, how tough was it for you and your family, especially you didn't have a father growing up, but especially for your mom, single mom, and how tough is it for her? How tough is it for her, but especially for you? And obviously, you have to rely on different people, different father figures too. And what made you? How did you guys overcome that?
Well, we overcame it by just love, man, having a great, loving, supporting family. We were all in the winter together, right? We're all together, man. We're a close family. We're a close-knit family. And I had a lot of good people in my life. And eventually, out of respect for my stepfather, but I did eventually have a stepfather that came into my life. But, he was a very supportive, loving father, but I didn't have that father when I went to award ceremony or went to my track meets and football games. He was in the stands. He was just, he loved us, but he was a provider. He was taking care of his family. So I didn't get that part of that fatherhood. I know he loved me and he believed in me and wanted me to be great, but I just didn't get that part. So my mom, she was that loving comfort person that, hey, every time I looked in the stands, she was there. Every banquet, she was there. Every sideline, she was there. And I think it was a good balance in my life at that time, that I needed to see that. So, but it was tough. We stuck together as a family because we all believed and loved one another. And I didn't have a problem taking on that type of good pressure.
So what was it like to have those support system around you to get your football career started? And what would you say to them now and who helped you along the way to get your football career started?
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, once again, I have to tell you how I grew up in my environment. So a lot of people don't really believe this when I say this, but this is true. And a lot of other minority athletes, I'm sure, can relate to this. Well, when I grew up in South Central LA, there was a lot of gangs and a lot of things like that. But a lot of these gangbangers, they also were great athletes. They just didn't get an opportunity to excel because of their situations. So those are the guys who really invested into me, like play on my team and let me work with you and let me help you and get better. And so believe it or not, they're people too. They were my friends, and those guys were amazing talent. And they just said, hey, you know what, man? You're better than this, man. We don't want you living this lifestyle like us, man. Go pursue your career. You got something special. I don't have a chance to make it out. Either things happen and I don't have that opportunity, but you do. So to believe it or not, man, that was my support system, and having that motivation and knowing that why I'm doing it, I'm trying to become a professional athlete to take care of my mom, to take care of my community. That was my motivation drive. But I tell you, those guys, man, I had other friends that, was a little bit older than me because my older brother plays sports. He didn't make it obviously into any professional rankings, but his friends that kind of looked out for me too, let me work out with them and, and train with them. And they was a great support system and believed in me.
Wow. So my next question here, and did you get to play any other sports growing up before choosing football?
I did. Like any young athlete, you play everything: soccer, football, basketball, baseball. But usually when I got to about middle school, eighth grade, coming into high school, I really started gravitating towards football and track. I was blessed with speed. I was 9, 10 years old in LA beating grownups, and just in street races and relay races. And so I knew that I was blessed with tremendous speed, but I knew that to take it to a professional level eventually, it's a job. You got to get better at it. You got to take it serious. So when I was in high school, I started narrowing it down to football and track. And really those were my two sports that kind of, took me to the next level in life. So I was very, very thankful to have those two sports in my life to excel at.
So speaking of track, how big of a help is that? Because we had a recent former athletes on the show that did track too. And do you feel like track can help athletes become better players, whatever sport they choose?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously we own a couple of sports agencies and sports marketing companies, and we do sporting events. We train, we have training facilities, but I tell people all the time, I don't care what sport you are, male or female, run track. You might not be running to get to the Olympics. You might not be running to always get first place, even though we're taught to get first place. But what you get from track is amazing. Okay. The agilities, your ability, your movements, your quick, your fast twitch, all the things you're going to learn, your technique, right? Because in football, we call it power running. When you run, you sway your arm side to side. Track, you run straight, and that's all timing. So we encourage all athletes to run track. Get involved with track. I don't care if you're offensive lineman, defensive lineman, big guys, just run track. It's going to help you out. When you get to college, they know that. They're going to say, hey, have you ever done track before? And they know how important that is. So we always encourage every athlete to run track. It's just something you should do.
Well, yeah. So tell our fans about your college recruitment process coming in, and how many offers did you get from colleges? And just explain your amazing college experience and what was it like for you?
Yeah, well, things are different now with the young athletes today because of the marketing, the branding, all the third-party companies, that recruiting companies, and ESPN top this. Yeah. We didn't have a lot of that. We didn't have all the 7-on-7s and combines and everybody know your name and social media. We just didn't have that. So for me coming up in high school, because I was a two-star athlete and I truly was running some amazing times in high school, I think to this day, it's sad to say this, but I still have the 40-yard dash record in high school.
Oh, wow.
I think it's 4.37 or something, 4.36 in high school. So, I was running 10.3 in high school, so in 100 meters. So, that drew a lot of attention, right? So, in high school, I was being literally recruited by every university: USC, Arizona State, Texas, Florida, Miami, Missouri. I mean, the list goes on. I was being recruited for football and track. And I try to narrow it down to those programs that would let me do both. Okay. So the ones that only wanted me for football or the ones that only wanted me for track, unfortunately, I had to exclude those companies out because I'm going to keep running track, right? So long story short, went through some tragedy at a young age in high school, lost my grandmother, lost my nephew, just people that was dear to me, and I didn't know how to cope with it. So my grades slipped my senior year because I was going through tragedy, right? So at that time, my grades slipped and I ended up going to junior college. So I ended up going to a school here in Arizona called Glendale Community College, Go Gauchos. And I did that for 2 years. Wow. And let me tell you, brother, that was the best move in my life that I ever could make, was going to junior college, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So coming out of junior college, I literally had some of the fastest times in the world as a junior college student athlete in the 100 meters. I'm now running 10.1s, and I'm running 4-3, 4-3-2, 4-3-1s. You know, I'm blazing. So playing football, had a pretty good play receiver and, you know, running back, kick return, did it all. And now college is like, hey, wait a minute, that's that same kid from high school that we were recruiting. Now he's at junior college. So now more offers start coming, right? So by the end of my 2 years at Glen Oak Community College, I narrowed it down to USC and Arizona State because they both were going to let me do football track. So my sophomore year, I had one of the fastest times as a sophomore. I qualified for the Olympic trials. So now I had to make a tough decision. Do I turn pro in track and field, or do I go off to a 4-year university, go to school, play sports, and possibly get drafted, which I would have got drafted just off of my speed alone? Well, I made a decision to turn pro in track and field, which I have no regrets.
Mm-hmm.
I have no regrets. I signed a major contract with Mizuno Track Club out of Japan. I traveled all over the world for track and field. I mean, at 19, 20 years old, traveling all over the world, you know, running track, making money, and getting ready for the Olympics. And so that was my journey at that time and point. And long story short, I forfeited the Olympics, like I think a couple of months before the Olympics, because the NFL started calling after me. So that was kind of like that journey. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's amazing. And this is a 2-part question. And the first part is, what do you like the growth about junior college? Because now a lot of kids are going to junior college to improve their game before going to college. And what do you like the growth about junior college? And the next part, what was it like? What was the experience like traveling around the world and learning different experiences, different cultures? And what was that like?
Well, the 2-part of that question, junior college was amazing. I mean, and unfortunately, which is sad to say this, the state of Arizona has some of the top junior college football in the country. Well, we have now since lost that about 4 years ago. We don't have junior college football anymore. Some of your best athletes from Arizona came out of junior college. If you go look at your history of how many NFL players came out of Arizona from junior college, you'll see hundreds of them. Some are Hall of Famers, Pro Bowlers, first rounders. So junior college for me was a perfect fit. It allowed me to mentally develop. It allowed me to physically develop. It allowed my education to get caught up a little bit. But most importantly, it gave me a great opportunity to compete, right? So I encourage all student athletes, sometimes you don't have to get caught up in the big name schools and sit there for 2 to 3 years just to play 1 year. Go to junior college. The recruiters are still going to find you. And matter of fact, here's what they don't know about junior college football. When you leave from a junior college as a sophomore, they want you to come right in to play at a D1. They don't want you to sit down. They're bringing you in to come right in to play.
Right.
So that's the benefit that you have by going to junior college. So that was amazing. Traveling the world, man, I wish that everyone can experience certain cultures and countries and foods and, you know, the diversity that I've experienced, man. I think it's amazing. And those are memories that you just can never forget those things, you know. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. So for you, was it tough not going to Olympics? Because obviously NFL is your other dream too. And obviously when the NFL called, was it tough giving up the Olympics because you were this close at going to the Olympics, but was it tough giving up at first before deciding on the NFL too?
You know, to be honest with you, it was very tough. Okay. But there's a back end to this story. It was tough because I was a marketable guy, you know. I mean, my nickname was a cheetah. I was marketable, you know, and at that time I thought I was a pretty boy, you know. So I was ready for people's commercials and movies. But here's the honest to God truth, okay? Back in the 90s, like coming into 92 Olympics and 90 and all those kind of things, unfortunately, a lot of guys that I used to beat naturally, because I'm a natural athlete. I never did drugs. I never done steroids. Right. I was always natural. I promise you that. And when the guys that I used to beat all the time in the 100 meters started beating me consistently, I knew that they started turning towards steroids. Mm-hmm. And I never wanted to denounce my fame or denounce myself to the world that, hey, I got on the cover of Wheaties, the box of Wheaties, because I'm doing steroids and I'm the fastest man in the world. It's just, it wasn't worth it for me. So that was, a lot of people don't know that story. Okay. You're probably one of the first media outlets I've ever told.
Okay.
So I got out of track and field because of that reason, because I knew that it was hard to beat these guys when they're on steroids. It's just like running against robots, right? Because your body can't regenerate that fast. It can't recuperate, that type of conditioning. So thank God I got out of track at the right time that I did, and football was waiting for me to carry over that natural speed where I didn't have to be pressured to use steroids. It was just natural. It was a natural blessing.
Wow, that's crazy. Thanks for sharing that. That's a crazy story right there. So now I want to get to your NFL experience, and what was it like when the NFL started to call your agent or whoever, your support system, and how many teams called you, and what was it like when the Raiders gave you the opportunity?
Well, I'll tell you, man, to get to this journey was amazing. First of all, some of my best friends, okay, to this day, because I went on to track and field and we all grew up together, played ball together. We all came out of junior college together. My school, my junior college school, we had 6 guys from my team that made it to the NFL. It was unheard of from one junior college, okay? And I think your screen froze too. Oh, there you go. So with that being said, my best friends like Felipe Sparks, Damon Mays, Muhammad Oliver, Darren Woodson, Toby Wright, all these guys, we all came out of junior college together. And we used to do our off-season training. So while I was still running track, these guys have now got drafted there. So they're in the NFL. So they're like, hey, AC, we want you to come out and keep practicing with us football. Come out and run routes against us and, train with us. My best friend, Damon Mays, he got drafted as a wide receiver. So he was working with me, kind of, getting me ready for the league. So I had so much great support system. So when that happened, I signed with one of my friend's agents and I said, hey, I know that I'm kind of raw, but I'm ready. So I started training like crazy, doing some free agency combines, running great 40s, running great routes. And then a couple of teams reached out to me. I actually turned pro in Canada first.
Oh, well.
So I went to the CFL up in Edmonton. They gave me a shot. And then from Edmonton, believe it or not, I went to the semi-pro in Fresno, California, which was just crazy. So my journey to the NFL it's a journey. From there, I got pursued by arena football teams, and from that point, the NFL, started calling me like, hey, invite this guy out to our camps and let's take a look at him. And all the teams, Al Davis had his eye on me because he loved speed, right?
Wow, yeah.
Plus, he knew that I was from LA. So
right.
he literally gave me an opportunity to come back home to LA and to be a Raider. And they watched me work out and said, hey, we like you. You fit our style. You're fast. We love your speed. And we want to make you a Raider for life. So it was just amazing journey, man.
Wow. Yeah, let's start off with the Canadian Football League. And what was the experience like playing in a different league? Obviously, Canadian football. I love that league because I think you can also find talent out there for NFL teams like who want to see talent. And what's that like playing in the Canadian Football League?
Well, obviously it's a lot different. It's different type of football, a bigger field and bigger ball. Just a different game, but it's still football, and it was a great learning experience. And I say this, a lot of my NFL DBs and cornerbacks, they get mad at me when I say this, but the Canadian League has some of the best cornerbacks that converts from Canadian football to the NFL because they cover more field,
right?
And they're faster, right? So that was such a great experience, man. And because of that experience, I now have a sports marketing company that I keep in Calgary, Canada, and I do football camps and I give back and I do clinics and speed and agilities because they have so much talent out there, man. It's ridiculous. They just need an opportunity. So great football in Canada.
So were you the type of player that you were willing to play multiple positions, or were you the player that you wanted to focus only on one position?
Well, obviously when you get to the NFL, it's a job and they're like, hey, you're right. We want you to play this position. Being a receiver, because it's such a special position, you're not like a cornerback. They can be all over the field, right? So if you're trying to make it as a receiver in the NFL, you want to let the coaches know that, hey, I can do kick return. I can do punt return. I'm willing to do kickoff. I'm willing to do punt team. So I was blessed to do that. So I did all those things. I did kick return, punt team, punt return, kickoff, and played receiver. So because of my speed, it allowed me to do that. And I wasn't afraid to hit anybody. I mean, I would blast you, man. So, I might have been 5'10", 5'11", 160 something pounds at that time. But, the way I grew up in LA, street ball, I had that aggressive mentality, and I will blast you, man. I mean,
Oh, wow.
if I quarterback through an interception, and I'm literally trying to lay that DB out, man. I mean, that was my aggressive mindset,
Wow, you could have been a DB and a receiver at the same
Yeah,
time.
because I played running back too,
Yeah.
so I wasn't afraid of hitting people or getting hit. I mean, that was in my nature. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So now once the Raiders gave you the opportunity, obviously the late Al Davis, but his son Mark Davis living the legacy and doing a great job also with this Raiders team now in Las Vegas. But for you, what was it like when they gave you a special organization? In my opinion, there's a saying out there: once a Raider, always a Raider. And I had Doug Gabriel on the show. I had Stuart Schweiger on the show too, former Raiders. But what was it like when they gave you the opportunity? And obviously, Al Davis, one of the great owners to live and play in the game of football, to focus on you only because, like you said, he loves speed, and just to have the focus on you and have the support system around you with the Raiders organization.
Well, first of all, Al Davis, God rest his soul, he was my mentor. I mean, this man, he honestly told me, and I didn't even think this was true, but he would watch film on me. I'm like, Al Davis watching film on me? Because what we didn't realize is that we're his investment.
Right.
He wants the best for us.
Mm-hmm.
He has been one of the most amazing owners in the world, man. I mean, this guy, I love him and I miss him tremendously, but we had a special relationship. He believed in me and he said, I'm gonna make you a Raider for life. And he meant that. And every day at the practice, he used to talk to me, just not about football, just about marketing and business and doing things big. And if you ever become an entrepreneur, do it to be number one, and keep the commitment to excellence always in your life and just win. And he was such an amazing person that invested into me. And I live that way today in my life, and he always gave us the best. We flew first class, we stayed first class, we ate first class. And now his son, to carry on that tradition, to see Mark Davis carry on Al's tradition, is still a reflection of who Al is. And now I live my life that way in business, as an entrepreneur, as a visionary, as being innovative. I have so much of him in me, and every player probably can say that. So such an honor, man, such an honor.
Yeah. So now, what was it like playing for the Raiders organization in front of those fans? Obviously, they have great fans playing in the black hole and wearing that black and silver jerseys.
Nothing like it, brother. I mean, here once again, we know Al Davis. So my first year as a Raider, I was back home in LA. Al literally comes in and says, "Okay, guys, we're moving back to Oakland," and to go back to Oakland to play in the original Raider Stadium, the black hole. Oh my goodness, man. It was breathtaking to see all your Raider greats on the sidelines and all your movie stars like Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg and Tiger Woods, everybody on the sideline because they love the Raiders. And I'm like, man, they here to see us. And, and the fans just like, oh man, it's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. You got to experience it, man. So.
And also, you got to play with great players too, legendary players like Charles Woodson. You got to play with. You got to play with Jerry Rice, I think, and Randy Moss, if I'm not mistaken. So, what was it like getting to learn from those type of players?
Well, first of all, out of all that whole list, the name that you didn't mention, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this for a reason: Tim Brown.
Oh, Tim Brown, yeah.
So Tim Brown is my cousin-in-law.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Tim Brown married my first cousin when I came back home to LA, and now we're one big family. That guy there, Tim Brown, I love him, and he knows how much I love him. He's the one who took me under the wing, him and Rocket Ismail and a bunch of the guys. But Tim, because I say that because he's a man of God, and he taught me professional morals, how to be respectful as a professional athlete. I watched his ways. He taught me, sometimes even when they got on me and said, "Hey, you're too fast. You're overrunning your route." I'm like, wait a minute, Al Davis wants speed. I'm gonna give him speed. He said, no, slow down. It's timing. Learn how to be a professional. Run your routes like this. Do this, do that. Yeah. So I watched him on and off the field. And I'm going to tell you, man, to this day, there's no other classiest guy that I know, man, as far as professionalism, respect for the game, his greatness for the game. So play with a lot of great guys. But to me, that's always number one.
I can't believe I forgot Tim Brown. I can never forget Tim Brown, a legend, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And also, so speaking of Tim Brown, what obviously he had a big impact on the field, and obviously off the field he even had a bigger impact too. And what was it like when you saw his enshrinement and getting into the Hall of Fame? What was that your reaction about for him?
Oh, well deserved. I mean, well deserved. You know, when you talk about a guy on and off the field that represent a true Raider, and such a true professional, it was just totally well deserved. I'm so happy for him, my cousin, my family. We're all excited, man, as a family to have that in our life, and to be a part of him, so definitely such a blessing.
So, what would you say your best moment and most memorable moment as a Raider in your career? What would you say?
On a personal level, and I don't like to, talk about the personal accomplishments, but for me, man, being a long shot, when a lot of doubters, a lot of non-believers, people telling you to quit, give up, you're never going to make it. Well, that kind of stuff drives me, man. I thrive off of that,
Right.
And to know that I became an official Raider, that was like, wow, I'm a part of this covenant family, man. And that's something that I will never forget, just to know that I'm a part of this family, man. So for me, it wasn't about how many touchdowns I scored or how much yardage I got. For me, it was about being a part of the ever-ending silver and black for the rest of my life. That moment was amazing.
Yeah, Raiders Nation. You guys are. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, and I think, in my opinion, the two best fan bases are the Cowboys and the Raiders. So,
Al Davis was an integral part of. He was a figurehead to show other owners this is how you become marketable. This is how you make more money. This is how we pay our players more money. You got to take that risk. He was a risk taker, right? So yes, exactly. And then also, if you don't mind, man, I don't want to be rude or disrespectful to the show, but I want to show you this. So speaking of that, as you know, we got our legendary brick. So we had our alumni celebration, man. This puppy is pretty heavy, but I'm honored. So this is my legendary.
Oh, that's amazing! Man. Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep. So we all received these. That they're going to be in front of the stadium. Wow. All the fans can come and see it. So this is not. That wasn't even about football. That was about on and off the field. What I do in the community as a Raider. All the charity things that we do. So that's the kind of guy Al developed us to be. Was guys, be marketable. Okay, make a name for yourself on and off the field. Love people. So yeah, such a blessing, man. Such a blessing.
That's amazing. I like that. That's awesome right there. That means you worked hard in your career, and that symbolized something. That's for me, to be honest, when someone gets an award like that symbolizes that you worked hard, you never gave up, and you proved the haters wrong. So
appreciate that. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So before we get to what you're doing now with your nonprofit, I want to ask you, what was your reaction when the Raiders moved from Oakland to Las Vegas? Because obviously the fans was beloved in Oakland, but now you have a market in Las Vegas where I think it can help out this team in the long run, because a lot of people go to Vegas now. So obviously, what's nothing there to do? There's always something there to do. So what's it going to be like for the Raiders long term there?
We love it. Al Davis, because he was such a futuristic guy and such a visionary. This wasn't new. This was part of his vision. He talked about these kind of things. We all knew. Everybody knows there's only so many teams that can make it in Las Vegas as far as personality, image, mystique, and we know that Raiders is one of those teams. So it's a perfect fit. It's a perfect fit for the city of Las Vegas. It's a perfect fit for the Raiders. We have Raider fans all over the world. All over the world, so it's not just Las Vegas Raider fans. Oakland fans are still coming. LA fans are still coming, because when you're a Raider, you're always a Raider. Yes, we go through hurt and pain over the fans, and hey, but this is home. Okay, this is Al Davis' perfect vision. When you go to Las Vegas and you feel the mystique inside and out of Allegiant Stadium, and you go in there, they did such a wonderful job to make this stadium feel like Al Davis, his whole vision. So, and I think that can only really happen in Vegas the way they did it. Amazing. We love it, man.
Yeah. So, and also I want to mention a really strong woman that's part of the Raiders organization forever. Her name is Amy Trass. Mm-hmm. And we had her on the show, and I'm well connected with her on Twitter. We always go back and forth on Twitter, and she's amazing. She watches her stuff. So for you, what was it like, working with her throughout your career in Oakland?
Well, like anything, you're only good as your team, and I think Al Davis did an amazing job with putting together an amazing team around our organization to make sure that internally and externally we're solid, we're winning, and you know how powerful women are, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize how many powerful women are in the NFL running business, and so we're thankful for women like her and being a pioneer in the game and doing some amazing things and opening up doors for other women. So we're very blessed and thankful, and to this day, look at all the amazing women, within
Yeah.
the Raiders organization that are doing powerful things. So, such a pleasure, man. Such a pleasure.
Yeah. So now looking back at your career now, what's it like helping out other kids and other people in the camps that you run, and obviously your nonprofit, and what's it like sharing your story to them and telling them that if I can do it, you can do it. No, don't give up. So what's it like? What's it been like for you having this nonprofit and running camps now?
Oh, it's been amazing. That's what we're here for. We're here to give back and give our testimonies. So many kids look up to us, male and female athletes, and if we can be that 1% to encourage them that they have an opportunity. Everybody's road is different, right? But what I always tell these kids that they all have a spirit of greatness in them. Now they got to develop that greatness. Okay. And they have that same opportunity that I have, that the next guy have. One guy may get drafted. Some guy may come in as free agent. Some guy may get traded to that team. You never know what can happen. But if you believe that you have greatness in you and you deserve to be there, this is going to happen. So, if we can give that sense of encouragement, which we do, and we can build those vehicles for these student athletes, which we do, then we're going to continue to import that in their lives, man. So, yeah, we love that part of what we do.
So I want to talk about your nonprofit called Million Dollar Mingle. So how did this come about? And obviously it's growing big time, and we shared on our stories too. And you have a big event coming up soon here in Arizona. So what's this been like for you? And what's the event? If no one knows about the event, can you explain it a little bit more?
Well, I can honestly tell you once again, from a philanthropy standpoint, it goes back to Al Davis, because a lot of people don't know he invited me to a lot of things. I was hurt a lot of times over my career. So instead of going to all of the celebrity parties and all those things, I would go to some of the corporate parties with, Al Davis to meet some of the sponsors. And he always told me, when you do something, do it big, AC, do it big and bold. So I got some visions, man, as a visionary. And I got a vision in 2006 to do this event called the Million Dollar Mingle. And that would become one of my biggest luxury fundraisers that caters to a lot of amazing people. And we never try to raise less than $1 million, anything that we do. So 2006, I did my first ever $1 Million Mingle celebrity mansion party. 4,000 people showed up, from movie stars to athletes to media, corporate sponsors, just good people. And it evolved so much now to where we're like, okay, we're doing a whole weekend experience, right? We're doing golf. We're doing our polo tournament. We're doing luxury parties.
Wow.
We're doing our celebrity brunch and comedy show. We have official hotels, resorts that host us, so people can fly in and stay. Because people from all over the world, they come to the $1 Million Mingle celebrity experience, all over the world. So we're going to be setting up here in Scottsdale, Arizona, October 22nd to the 24th. And I tell you what, guys, we have tons of people from Vegas that comes out, LA, New York, Miami, London, Canada, Dubai, New Zealand, Argentina. Wow. They all come out, and we help raise money. And so someone of our listeners, if you're in town, out of town, and would like to, it's a private invite only. So that's the catch. You got to get an invite, so they can message us. They can go to Million Dollar Mingle. They can actually go to mdmexperience.com. So mdmexperience.com, and check it out and get our history. But we will, a lot of media comes out to the event, but we do it every year, and we're excited to do it again to try to raise money for some local causes here. So yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Did you guys do it last year?
Yes, we did. So even in a COVID year, we didn't do it as big, right? But even in a COVID year, we fought through it. We did it very safely and had masks and sanitation stations. And about maybe 600 people showed up, and we had a great time. But now we're able to kind of get back to a bigger capacity safely, of course. And those who love to golf, come out to our celebrity charity golf tournament. I suck at golf, but I love playing the game for charity. And it's going to be a blast, man. It's going to be awesome.
Wow. So obviously in this industry it's important making connections. So with this event, what's it like seeing people making new connections and making and talking to each other in these type of events and helping each other out? What's it been like for you seeing that with your company, with your nonprofit?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I mean, my first order of business, as I tell everybody, we're here for a reason. We're raising money for charity. But outside of charity, it's about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the networking. It's about the type of crowd that we're bringing together. You cannot solicit this, right? You can't just go door knocking to find this type of crowd.
Right.
So the people all the professional athletes that are saying, hey, wait a minute, I'm an entrepreneur too, but I need to know who that CEO is. I don't know how to meet that person. And then you got a lot of corporate guys, CEOs are saying, hey, wait a minute, we're trying to meet some of the athletes, but I don't know how to get to them. So now we're bringing everybody under one umbrella, doing a good, friendly time where they can network, they can shake hands, they can build relationships, and we get all the testimonials all the time. Hey, thank you for your event, AC. I met my business partner there. I'm doing business with him now. I got some guys saying, man, I met my wife there, hey, and I met my husband there. And so it's all about the networking part as we raise money, and those are covenant relationships that you want to be a part of.
Wow. And also, what's it like teaching these kids now playing the game of football, running these, like you said, running these camps and teaching the right way how to play the game? And what's that been like for you teaching the youth?
Oh man, to see what we give back to these kids, man, is, and we don't go into this teaching them to become a professional athlete.
Yeah.
That's pressure. We don't do that. We're teaching them how to be better young men and women, how to be responsible, how to be respectful, how to be healthy, to stay away from drugs and alcohol, to how to have a positive social media feed, all these things, character, leadership, attitude. And if that happens as a professional athlete, then great. But we're giving them the foundation of what it takes to be successful in the game of life, because we know that, especially in football, it's a very short lifespan, right?
Right.
And that comes sooner than you think. So if you can learn these things that help you to carry over into the real world, we've done our part. Our part.
So obviously, speaking of longevity, and obviously, you played against this quarterback, I'm sure, Tom Brady. So what's it like? Obviously, today, I think he said that he can still play till he's 50, he said. So do you think that can happen? And what do you think about this? I call him the ageless wonder, or he's immortal or something. He came from a different planet. But what do you see? What's it like seeing him still going at age 44?
Well, I think now Tom has, embarked on the right time to do something like this because of our nutrition now and all the things, the training and, the cryotherapy, all the things that we have access to manage our bodies mentally, physically. And, so I think, and I'm like this, hey, if he can play till he's 60, then why not? Because if you're getting the type of protection and the type of guys that want to rally around Tom and say, hey, man, I got your back, let's make it happen. Competitively, just write it out. I mean, if they still can't stop this guy, and it's so funny because I literally got traded to the Patriots.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I can't get into too much, but I tell you this, man, we all remember the Tom Brady tuck rule, right?
Yeah.
So as we were playing against the Patriots in New England during the playoffs, I was on the sideline watching this take place because I play receiver offense and I'm watching him. And we all knew that, okay, hey, it's Raiders ball. We're good. And whoever wins that game goes to the Super Bowl. Not saying that we were going to win the Super Bowl, but whoever wins that game goes to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And obviously they said, no fumble. And then Vinatieri comes in, kicks the field goal. And that started their dynasty. They went on to the Super Bowl to win. That started their run.
Wow. So
that offseason, we're all pissed and upset and mad and, got to go through a whole nother offseason. So right before the regular season started, my offensive coordinator at the Raiders, he got the offensive coordinator job with the Patriots.
Oh.
And my agent was like, hey, be ready. You might get traded. Not saying it's going to happen, but be ready. And sure enough, man, I ended up getting traded to the Patriots.
Wow.
And, and it was a different environment. I mean, I didn't last too long there. I wasn't a good fit, for the Patriots at that time. End up coming back to Oakland, but yeah, great. He's a great guy though. I mean, love his game, love what he's doing. I wouldn't take nothing away from him. And if I can play till I'm 50, 60, then I'm gonna play.
Yeah. Hmm. So before we get to the last two things, are you planning on going to any Raiders game this year? And
Oh
what
yeah.
do yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. We had our big alumni weekend celebration. All the Raider greats came out before the season started, and we have a couple of games on our schedule that we'll all be there as alumni brothers. And so I have a couple of games on my calendar that, I will be there. So I'm excited to take that in with our organization as well.
And what are your thoughts on this year's Raiders and the unbelievable comeback win in Week 1? And obviously, Darren Waller is a stud. I have him on my fantasy team this year, a great tight end. So, what are your thoughts on this season and especially the big Week 1 win?
Well, I tell you this, I think if we can keep our defense solid, I think we can get all the way. We can go all the way. That's why we play this game. We play this game to go to the Super Bowl and win it. We don't play it to come in second. We don't play it to barely make the playoffs. So if any true Raider would tell you that we're here to win it all. I mean, that's why you play this game, to win. And I think if this defense can stay intact and get better, I don't see anybody stopping us. I really don't. Derek Carr is a good quarterback, and I think we have enough talent to really go all the way and do it.
So the last two things here before we let you go, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach, and now he's the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George. And we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe and the kids stay safe. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Yeah, please do, man. That's what we're all about. We're about the $1 Million Mingle. We created a tagline said, "We fight for life causes." Mm-hmm. And that's all over the world. It's not just here in Arizona. We look for those opportunities to bless other nonprofits, other organizations. It's a team, don't get me wrong, but we look for those life causes. So yeah, please send it to us, and we would love Hugh Jackson and love to see, Eddie George. I love what those guys are doing for
HBCUs.
HBC. Yeah. And they need more notoriety. And we got to get these more 5-star athletes coming out of high school to start taking off their hat during these Navy Army games and saying, "Hey, I select this black college," because we need that help, man.
Yeah, speaking of that real quick, what's it like seeing Deion Sanders and Eddie George stepping up in a big way, becoming coaches for those two teams?
It's awesome. It's what we need. Just because someone didn't go to school there doesn't mean that you can't go back and give back to those communities, man. They need that. We have the star power to do that, because at the end of the day, it's about TV ratings, it's about marketing, it's about branding. And the HBCU, they need us athletes to come back and say, "Hey, you know what? We got you. Okay, we got you." And I think it's awesome. And I would like to see more guys. I don't have a passion for coaching like that.
Right.
But if you have a passion for coaching as a former athlete, I think that you need to throw your hat in the ring, and we need to get that program worldwide notice like that as well. So I love what they're doing. That's awesome.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan. I mean, I support a lot of one of my sportswear companies that we own a manufacturing plant. So when the pandemic broke out, we literally dove into action and started manufacturing PPE gowns and medical masks and all these things we've done. So we support all the nurses and doctors and the people on the front line, from firefighters to police officers. We appreciate your service and continue to, say thank you. And anything that all my events that I put on, none of the nurses pay for nothing. None of the doctors pay for nothing. We all comp those guys to come out to my event. So if you're a doctor, nurse, healthcare provider out here in Arizona and you want to come to the $1 Million Mingle, message us. Okay, you can message me at $1million mingle@gmail.com, and we will set you up with some complimentary passes to come out and have a good time and enjoy life. Okay, we really mean that.
Wow. Yeah, well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 902 with former Raiders wide receiver, former track star, AC Caswell. Now he's a nonprofit organization called the $1 Million Mingle. Go check it out. Go get some tickets out there, because he has a big event coming up. Raiders for life.
That's how we do it.
Yeah. So, but go check it out. Go get some tickets for his event, October 22nd to the 24th in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's been a pleasure, AC, to have you on the show today. I learned a lot from this, and you opened up more actually about your story, which is awesome on this platform, which I'm grateful. And thank you for sharing some of the stories you didn't share before. But keep up the great work, and we would like to have you back on the show at some point so you can meet the full team.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And thank you guys for once again providing the platform, and love your show and all that you're doing, and wishing you the best, buddy.
Thank you, man.
All right. Have a blessed one.
Yep.
Go Ray.